When did you first meet Nicole?
Summer of 1977.
Where did you meet her?
At a place called a Daisy.
In Beverly Hills?
Yes.
And what was she doing there?
She was, I think she was a hostess.
Were you there alone?
No,
Who were you with?
Joe Stellini.
Just the two of you?
Well, we went in, just the two of us, yes.
And did you start up a relationship with Nicole at that time?
A few days later.
You called her?
No.
How'd you get in touch with her?
I was having lunch at the Daisy, and she came in.
Now, Nicole was how old at the time?
18.
And you were how old?
I believe 28, 29 maybe.
29.
Yeah.
Were you married?
Yes.
Were you separated?
We had just finished a separation, so we were just trying to see if we can get back together.
You and Marguerite?
Yes.
That's your first wife?
Yes.
When did you marry Marguerite?
1967.
And when did you end your marriage with her?
Officially was probably I don't know, late 70s.
After you met Nicole?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
During the time, strike that, when you met up with Nicole in the summer of 1977, after the first couple of times seeing her, did you begin dating her?
Yeah.
In other words, did you start a romantic relationship with her?
Yes. Yes.
And at that time, you were married to Marguerite, right?
Yes.
And living with Marguerite, right?
When I was in L.A., yeah.
You were a professional football player at the time and you were
Yes.
traveling?
Well, I lived in New York, and she didn't move to New York with me. I lived in Buffalo during the season.
During the football season, right?
And Marguerite didn't move to New York with me.
And during the off-season, you came back to the home of Marguerite and you in Los Angeles?
At the end of that year, for a while, yes.
End of 77?
Yes, for a while.
At what point did you permanently move out of your home with Marguerite?
Sometime after I got back from football in 78. Yes.
Okay. So, now where did you move? Where did you live in Los Angeles when you came back after the 1978 football season?
After I left, I can't recall if we were on Mulholland Drive or where at that time. I lived for a while in the Westport Marquee.
Alone there?
Yes.
And then you moved where?
I lived between there and an apartment on Wilshire Boulevard. And then I went back to Buffalo. Oh, I went to San Francisco. And
Where does Mulholland fit in here? Is that the home with Marguerite?
yes.
Okay. Now, during this, the first couple of years that you knew Nicole, let's say up to your divorce from Marguerite,
Mm-hmm.
which you said was late 70s, did you live with Nicole?
No.
When did you first live with Nicole?
I think when I came back from probably right at 80, after the 79 season,
So January of 80?
I would say, yeah.
And
That's an estimate.
where did you and Nicole move to?
I think I rented a place at the, I rented a place at the end of Stone Canyon,
And that was the first home of Nicole and you?
Mm-hmm.
You have to answer all
Yes.
Before you moved into Stone Canyon, for the first 3 years that you and Nicole knew each other, how regularly did you see one another?
Quite regular.
Did you Was she your principal mate, so to speak?
After the first year, yes. After we had known each other a year, I would say yes.
And where did Nicole live during those 3 years, from 77 to January of 80?
She had a place in Westwood right off of Wilshire in Veteran, and then she had a place on Bedford.
Did you furnish those places for her?
Yes.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay. And was she working?
Sometimes.
When you were playing football, did she travel with you?
No.
So she was at home in Los Angeles?
She visited me in Buffalo and then spent a lot of time in San Francisco with me.
When was the first season you were in San Francisco?
78.
Okay. So starting September of 78, right?
Yes.
And how many seasons were you in San Francisco?
2.
78 to 79, 79 to 80, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you had an apartment in San Francisco during those 2 years?
A condominium, yes.
That you purchased?
Yes.
And Nicole lived there with you?
When she was in San Francisco, yes.
Okay. So during the years 78, 79, 79, 80, Nicole was shuttling between her places that you provided for her in Los Angeles and the condo in San Francisco. Is that
The place
right?
that I helped her with in Los Angeles and the place in San Francisco.
When you say helped her, I mean she helped
I gave her
her.
money when she couldn't pay the rent, and sometimes she could pay the rent.
What was she doing for a living?
She was working at the Daisy
For a couple of years?
a year.
And then after that, what?
She decorated. She started decorating for me. She decorated my place and then just decorated.
She earned income from decorating?
From decorating, and I went to Vegas a few times, made a lot of money, and she made a lot of money also.
You mean gambling?
Yes.
Excuse me. When is the last time that she worked for a living?
I would say late 80s.
And did she work from the 70s through the late 80s?
Depending if she had a decorating job.
So whenever she worked, it was in the decorating business?
Yes.
And she would do interior decorating of homes?
Yes.
Okay. What's the home that you purchased that she decorated? You just mentioned a few moments ago. Stone
Brentwood.
Canyon?
No, Brentwood.
Oh, Rockingham?
Rockingham.
Did you move from Stone Canyon to Rockingham?
Yes.
Okay. How many years did you live in Stone Canyon?
I think just one off season or one spring.
That was a rental, you said?
Yes.
And when did you move into Rockingham?
I don't know.
When did you purchase it?
I purchased it in 77, but it had to go through a lot of renovations and changes before we moved into it.
Was it vacant for 2 or 3 years?
Maybe a year.
So did someone live in it before you?
Yes.
You rented it out?
No.
Who lived there?
A family called the Eastons,
Why were they living there?
because they owned it
You said you purchased it in 77,
from the Eastons.
and they continued to live there?
No.
No, after, they moved out when you purchased it in 77, right?
Yes.
And you didn't move in until sometime in 1980, or 81, actually.
Yes.
So for those 4 years, who was living at Rockingham?
I don't think it was 4 years because I didn't purchase it until late 77. Then I did a major renovation, which took the better part of a year. And then Marguerite and Jason and Arnell moved in.
I see.
And then our divorce was final, and I moved back in.
Was Rockingham a home that you purchased when you were still married to and living with Marguerite?
Before I met Nicole, yes.
I see. So when you met Nicole, you and Marguerite and children were living at Rockingham,
No.
but moved into Rockingham while you met Nicole, while you were dating Nicole, right?
Yes, when I was seeing Nicole, yes.
Okay. And when did Marguerite move out of Rockingham?
Whenever our divorce was final, and I don't recall when that was.
And then after she moved out, you moved in with Nicole.
Yes.
And generally speaking, what was a time frame of that?
80.
Sometime after January 80?
Yeah, I guess. Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, from January 80 until when did Nicole live with you at Rockingham?
her primary residence was that until we divorced. I mean, until we separated.
Okay. And Nicole filed for divorce in January of 1992, correct?
January or February, late January, early February.
Okay. And when did she move out?
Late January.
When she filed?
Well, we were separating, and I told her that if she didn't file, I would. So after 3 weeks of just being separated, she found a place, and around that same time, she filed.
During the time period when Nicole first moved in with you at Rockingham until she moved out in January, February of 1992, were you ever separated for marital reasons?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Were the two of you ever separated during that time frame because of marital problems?
Between what?
When the first time she moved in Rockingham in January 80 and when she left in early 1992.
Separated?
Yeah.
You got to be more definitive.
In other words, did you move out or she move out for any period of time because of difficulties in your marriage?
Move out? We weren't married for the first 4 or 5 years we were at Rockingham. So it wouldn't have been a marital thing. I mean, for a day or a week, yes, she moved out from time to time, for a day or a week maybe.
What's the longest she moved out?
I don't recall.
What's the longest she moved out?
I never moved out.
When did you get married?
85.
On what day?
February 2nd.
February 2, 1985?
Yes, I believe so.
And when was Sydney born?
In 85.
What's her birthday?
October 17th.
And Justin?
I believe it was 87.
1987?
Yes, I'm trying to think, was it 88? Maybe been 88.
88?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. He's 2 years younger, but it's August 6th.
88?
I believe it was 88, yeah.
Did Nicole move out? You said she moved out from time to time. Did she do so between the time she first moved in early 1980 and the date of your marriage in February of 85?
Yes.
About how many times?
I don't know.
Can you estimate for us?
No, I can't.
Why did she move out from time to
I
time?
know we had disagreements.
About what?
Various things, I know. At one point, I didn't want to get married.
From the time that you got married in February of 1985 until January, February of 1992, did Nicole move out from time to time?
Well, give me that again.
From the time that you and Nicole got married in February of 1985 until the time that she moved out permanently when she filed for divorce, during that interval of time, 7 years approximately, did she move out of Rockingham from time to time?
Move out?
Yeah, like for a week or?
Well, not move out, no. We had another place. So if we were not getting along, she sometimes would go to our other place.
What is that other place?
It was in Laguna.
When was Laguna purchased?
I don't recall.
Roughly.
Early mid-80s. I believe before I was married.
Before you're married,
I
Nicole?
believe so, yes. I'm not 100% sure of that, but I believe before I was married.
And when did you purchase the place in New York?
90, well, 90. I believe it was 90.
Did Nicole ever move into the New York place?
Yes.
Did she ever move in there because of a break on your relationship?
No.
Or just to join you while you were in New York?
Yes.
Did Nicole ever move into the Laguna place because of a break in your relationship?
No.
You said she went down there to stay from time to time when you
No.
had problems?
Well, when we had problems, and quite often when we didn't have problems, we lived in Laguna during the summers most times.
Okay, during your relationship with Nicole from, let's say, January 80 to 1992, did you have any other residences besides New York, Laguna, and Rockingham?
She did. I mean, she owned property, but no.
Where did she own?
San Francisco.
Is that something you had purchased when you were living in San Francisco?
Yes.
And as part of the prenuptial agreement, you gave her that property?
Essentially, yes.
Is something incorrect about what I said?
No, I say essentially that's what it was.
What do you mean by essentially?
I just wanted her to have some income, and I gave her that so that she can have some income too.
You owned it in your name and you transferred it to her?
Yes.
Did she assume the mortgage?
There was no mortgage for her.
Was it paid off already?
Essentially, yes.
Or you took care of it?
No, part of it was in my trust at the time. I guess there was a loan on it in my trust, and most of it was paid off. But to her, it was free and clear.
So you transferred that property to her roughly 1985?
Yes.
And from that point on, did she rent that property out?
Yes.
And did she ever use it as a residence?
No.
And did you?
No.
Now, excuse me, did Nicole own any other property besides San Francisco?
I believe so. I believe she had, well, yeah, I knew she had something in Laguna, but Nicole's business was her business.
The place in Laguna, is that something you bought for her?
No.
She bought it on her own?
Yes.
And did she buy it during your marriage?
Yes.
Is that a place where you and she ever stayed?
No.
She rented that out?
Yes.
Okay, so she had 2 rental units, right? Laguna and San Francisco during a good part of your marriage.
Yes.
You don't even look like it.
Got a little more hair.
It would take me a long time.
Now, did you and Nicole, you said had a number of disagreements and she would move out from time to time or go stay in Laguna. And you said one of the causes of these disagreements was your desire not to get married.
Well, he didn't talk about a number of disagreements.
She moved out either.
Well,
I don't think
I
I
think
said
you
she
did.
moved out. I
Oh.
think she moved out as taking all your clothes and everything. I don't recall her doing that.
Well, did she ever move out in that sense during the entire
recall
time that
that
you were living at Rockingham together?
I don't recall
Where
that.
she took all of her belongings and said, look, I'm gone, I'm moved out, except for the last time, of course.
Maybe once.
When was that?
The day before we got engaged.
Is that because you wouldn't get engaged?
Partially, yes.
And you solved that problem by
Getting
agreeing to marry her?
engaged. Yes.
Okay, and did she physically move out?
She just took some things
And how long was she gone?
that night.
One night.
Yes.
What other reasons did you have conflicts and disagreements with her such that she would go stay someplace else for a while?
One time she found some phone numbers of girls. Then other than that, I can't specifically tell you.
You can only remember one occasion where she went to stay someplace else because she was upset that you were seeing other women?
No, that's not what I said.
You said she saw phone numbers of girls. I take it that means that she thought you were cheating on her.
I don't know about what she thought, but there were phone numbers, and she moved. I'm not moved, left for a day or two. Or
Well, you and she had an argument about this?
I'm sure we had, yes.
And what year was that?
I don't know.
Mid-'80s?
In the 80s, yeah.
After marriage?
I don't know.
During one of her pregnancies?
She never moved out when she was pregnant, no.
And who were the girls whose phone numbers
I have
caused
no
this
idea.
disagreement?
I have absolutely no idea.
Can you recall anything about your disagreement with her on this subject?
No.
Did you argue frequently about infidelity on your part?
No.
Did you ever argue about that?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
I don't know.
More than a dozen?
No.
More than 5?
I don't know.
Was it the most constant, was it the most frequent topic of conflict between the two of you during your 12-year relationship at Rockingham?
I'd say no.
What was?
I don't know.
Did you have any common topic of conflict or disagreement between the two of you?
My traveling.
How many times did you fight over your seeing other women or her thinking you were seeing other women?
Well, when you say fight, have verbal disagreements,
Yeah.
is that what you mean by a fight?
Well, you've already said you never physically hit her, right?
Well, he said he physically had an encounter with her on January 1st, 1989. You've gone into that in great detail.
Yeah. Well, you never hit her, right?
No, I never
Yeah.
never punched her or anything like that, no.
By the way, you never kicked her either, is that right?
That's correct.
My question was, how many times did you fight over your seeing other women or her thinking you were seeing other women?
And again,
I'm
that's
not limiting
verbal
it to-
disagreements.
Yeah.
I couldn't say.
There was the one occasion in 1989 having to do with Catherine, correct?
No, that's absolutely wrong.
Why is that wrong?
Catherine was Marcus's girl. We didn't fight over that.
But you and she were, that evening, the fight that evening began with a discussion about Catherine, did it not?
You mean, are you talking January 1st, 1989
Yeah.
again?
What do you mean? You have to be
Let
a
me
little
ask you
more
this.
clear.
Yes, in January of '89, when you had the incident with her, did that have anything to do with her belief that you were being unfaithful?
I don't know what her belief was. She had a conversation with Catherine Allen. You should call Catherine Allen. She was wrong. She ended up talking to Catherine Allen and realizing she was wrong. So you would have to talk to Catherine Allen
Oh,
about that.
we will, and Marcus Allen as well, once we can get them
Hopefully.
served. They apparently don't want to be served.
I don't blame them.
Anyway, what was Nicole's concern expressed to you about Catherine and/or Marcus Allen?
She had a conversation with Catherine. She misinterpreted something that Catherine told her.
What did Catherine tell her?
Something about earrings.
What about earrings?
Catherine was talking about the earrings Marcus had bought her, and while Nicole was, from what I gathered, you know, gushing over how nice those earrings were that Catherine was, Marcus had bought Catherine. Catherine said something, well, look at you, look what you got. And Nicole misinterpreted that as that, I don't know, you have to ask, you know,
How
Nicole
did she
never was clear
misinterpret?
about it to me, so you'd have to talk to, Nicole ended up talking to Catherine Allen and they had it straightened out.
Well, what I don't understand about that is what caused Nicole to get upset with you about Catherine's comment to her, look what you got?
I am assuming that Nicole felt that what Catherine was saying, that I bought some earrings, but what Catherine was referring to was, I guess Nicole wasn't aware that she was dripping in diamond earrings that night, and that's what Catherine was referring to.
That you had bought earrings for whom?
I don't know. You have to talk to Catherine about that. I never got that clear from Nicole.
Did Nicole accuse you of buying earrings for another woman?
She said something about, what about the earrings that Catherine was talking about? And from that point, it turned into an argument.
Did you know what she was talking about, by the way?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I tried to get Catherine on the phone for Nicole to clear it up, to find out what was going on, but Nicole wouldn't talk to Catherine, and I guess the next day they did.
Where did Catherine live? In Los Angeles?
Yes.
So you were going to call her at, what,
Marcus's house, yes.
2, 3, 4 in the morning?
Yes.
What time was it?
Whatever, 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
To straighten this out?
No, for Nicole to hey, you know, Nicole couldn't tell me what she was talking about, so And she had mentioned Catherine's name, so I said, hey, well, get Catherine on the phone and let's straighten it out. But typically, she didn't want to straighten it out. She wanted to argue.
During the course of your relationship with Nicole, would you say you argued quite a bit?
No.
Frequently?
No.
On a regular basis?
No.
It was
Once-
scheduled at 10 o'clock every
Once a
Monday.
month?
We probably had, when you said argument,
Yeah.
I don't know what
Would you
argument
fight and
was.
argue a lot?
You have to speak one at a time, please.
No.
Would you say that your relationship was a stormy one?
No.
Would you say that it was a healthy relationship
I thought we had a great relationship.
for the entire time that the two of you were together?
I thought until 92, when we started to split, we had our ups and downs like every relationship, but I think we had a tremendous relationship, a relationship that everybody seemed to want to share with us because they were always around.
How do you know they wanted to share that?
Because they were always around. That's what I interpret that to
But
mean.
you were a celebrity, right?
Yes.
So that's why they were around, right?
Well, don't
Possibly.
answer.
But I mean, did they tell you, OJ and Nicole, we really envy your relationship?
Don't answer this.
No, is that what people told you?
Don't answer.
I've heard that before.
I mean, he's making a statement. I'm entitled to examine him about it, Mr.
Well,
Baker.
you're not entitled to ask speculative questions and ask a witness to speculate as to what people...
Don't speculate. I agree with your lawyer on that. We don't want any speculation. We just want your recollection of what were said.
Okay.
Your perception, based on what people said and how they behaved, is that they wanted to be around Nicole and you because you two had a great relationship. Is that right? And you said you had your ups and downs. What were the downs?
Well, my scheduling, I traveled quite a bit. Nicole and I were both bullheaded and quite often didn't agree on the same things. I'm a type of guy that when I get into something, I get a little manic about it, golf being one. Golf became an issue with the two of us.
When?
Probably the late 80s into the 90s.
What else became an issue between the two of you besides golf and your traveling?
As I stated before, finding phone numbers.
You said that happened on one occasion.
One occasion I recall.
No other occasions,
Well,
right?
there were occasions she saw phone numbers. People give me numbers all the time, so I get cards and numbers from everybody. So it's on an occasion that I recall specifically that happening. But yeah.
Where did she find these phone numbers?
Whenever I get home, I empty my pockets off a road trip or something. I'll empty my pockets on my vanity. And at one point, I guess she went through my drawer and found phone numbers.
And how many times during the entire time you lived with her at Rockingham were you unfaithful?
You don't have to answer that.
How many?
Don't answer that.
How many extramarital relationships did you have?
Don't answer that either.
Well, you said they had a great relationship. I'm entitled to examine him about that.
I don't agree with you, and he's not going to answer that question.
You don't want to answer that question?
Don't answer that question either.
Were you unfaithful?
Don't answer that question.
Now, isn't it true that you were having sexual relations in the same house that you were living with Nicole at the time that she was in that home?
Don't answer that.
Isn't that true?
Don't answer.
During one of her pregnancies?
Don't answer that.
Mr. Baker, I'm entitled to probe his entire history of his relationship with Nicole.
I disagree with you, and he's not going to answer it.
Didn't you and she have a confrontation over your having sex with another woman in the guest house at Rockingham?
Never.
Go ahead. You answered it.
Never.
That event never occurred?
Never.
Have
At
you ever
Nicole.
heard that event reported in the news or the media?
Don't answer that. It's irrelevant what you've heard. I've heard everything reported in the news media.
You didn't think it was irrelevant what Mr. Kalin heard in the media? In any event,
Make your speeches outside in front of the microphones.
no, we're saving them for you, Mr. Baker.
You're going to save them a long time.
Did you ever have a relationship with another woman at your Rockingham residence while Nicole was there?
Don't answer that.
Did you ever fight with Nicole over such an incident?
Don't. Go ahead, you answer.
Never,
Never?
never.
Did you have a difficult time with Nicole's pregnancies?
No,
Did you become abusive towards her during her pregnancies?
no.
How many times was she pregnant?
By me? That I know of, 4.
And 2 of them were aborted
Yes.
before your marriage?
No, 1 before, 1 after.
When was the first one?
Early on in our relationship, I don't know.
You were still married to Marguerite?
I may have been, at that time, separated from Marguerite.
And when was the second one?
I believe 89 or 90.
Did you know she had that abortion?
Yes.
Did you agree with it?
No, we had an argument about it.
Tell me about that argument.
I didn't want her to have an abortion. She had said that after Sydney and Justin that she would never have an abortion again, yet she wanted an abortion.
Why?
I don't know.
What did she tell you?
She just didn't want to go through being pregnant. She didn't want to have any more kids. At that time, she didn't.
Did she, did you say the abortion was in 1989 or 1990?
Yes.
Which year?
One of the two. I don't recall.
Mr. Simpson, was this abortion after or before the January 1, 1989 incident?
After.
Do you know how long after that incident she got pregnant?
No.
By the way, was she pregnant at any other time by someone else other than you? You said...
That I know
yeah, that you
of.
know.
Once.
When was that?
I think in 92.
Yeah, how did you find that out?
She told me.
Is it during the time that the two of you were separated?
Yes.
And she was living at Gretna Green?
Yes.
Excuse me. Did she tell you about it beforehand,
Beforehand, what's that mean?
before the abortion?
Yes.
Did she seek your advice on what to do?
No.
She just told you what she was going to do.
She was emotional, and she just needed someone to talk to.
And you talked to her about it?
Yes.
And did she tell you who the father was?
I didn't ask.
Do you know?
No.
Do you have any information as to who the
I
father
can
was?
guess, but it'd be a guess.
Why would it be a guess?
He doesn't want you to guess.
Well,
You know-
why? Because she was seeing evidently different people. So
Who was she seeing at that time?
at the time she talked to me, I assumed she was seeing a guy named Joseph.
Joseph Perulli?
I don't know his last name.
This is the same Joseph who was at the Jenner's Christmas party in December of 1993.
Correct. But then she told me a month later that she hadn't been seeing this guy. She hadn't been seeing Joseph since like June.
Of 92?
Yeah, so, you know, I never asked her who the guy was. I assume it was this Brett guy, but you don't want me to assume.
Brett Shaves.
Yes,
He worked for her divorce lawyers, right?
Sorry,
I've
he
been
worked
told that.
for...
Her divorce lawyers.
I've been told that, yes.
Getting back to this this previous abortion in after the 1989 incident, did you and she argue, well, withdrawn, did she express to you her desire to have an abortion because of physical abuse by her,
No.
by you against her?
No,
Or because she did not want to suffer any mistreatment during pregnancy?
no,
None of that was expressed to you?
no.
Did she say anything to you along the lines that you had given her a hard time during the previous pregnancies and she didn't want to live through that again?
No.
What was the reason she gave you?
We were moving.
Ask and answer. Don't answer it. You've already told me.
You were moving where? Please complete your answer.
Don't. I told her not to answer the question. Just
Mr.
ask
Baker,
and answer.
cut him off in the middle of a question. Besides,
No, I cut him off in the middle of an answer.
middle of an answer, excuse me. Besides, I don't think it's appropriate to instruct an asked and answered when following up on this area.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion.
You're not going to let him answer?
You're right.
How many conversations did you have about her getting this abortion before she had it done?
I don't know.
More than one?
She was very emotional about it, so I think when we talked about it the first time, I avoided the conversation, and she went and had it done.
When she went and had it done, did you know that she was doing so?
Yes.
Okay, so she cleared it with you first, right?
Well,
She
I
was
don't know
gonna
what
do
do
it.
Well, I don't know. Don't answer that. I don't know what that means.
Did the two of you reach a mutual decision that she would have it done?
No.
So she had it done against your wishes?
Yes.
Excuse me. Did she seek any counseling at that time, to your knowledge?
I don't know.
Did you and she seek any counseling with respect to this decision?
No. Not that I know of. Not that I recall.
Did she have any medical treatment for injuries during that pregnancy that resulted in the abortion?
No. Not that I know of, no.
Did she have any medical treatment for injuries during her pregnancy with Justin?
No.
And did she have any medical treatment for injuries during her pregnancy with Sydney?
No.
Do you know if she ever had any medical treatment for injuries during your relationship with her?
No.
Do you know if she received any medical treatment as a result of her injuries from the 1989 incident? New
I
Year's
know
Eve?
she didn't. I wanted her to go, and she did, and there was nothing for him to do.
She did seek medical treatment?
No, I asked AC to take her to she had a headache or something, and we didn't know if it was from a hangover or from our tussle. So I asked AC to take her to have her checked, but she went down. There was nothing to do.
Where did they go?
I think St. John's.
Emergency room?
Yes.
And that was on New Year's Day?
Yeah, that was after the whole police thing.
Later on in the morning, you mean?
Well, the police didn't see fit to take her to any place, so I thought, just in case, she should.
When you say the police didn't see fit, what do you mean by that?
They obviously, they didn't take her any place for any medical treatment, so, you know, I thought she should go to some place for her
Did they-
to look.
Are you saying that they should have taken her?
I don't know. I don't know if they should have or shouldn't have. They obviously didn't see fit to, and they didn't. And when I asked her, she said they didn't. And I said, well, you should go. And she didn't want to go, and I told AC to take her.
When you had this conversation that she should go, was this in person?
Yes.
Is this after the police left?
Yes.
So when you left the residence while the police were there, where did you go?
I went to a friend's house,
Whose house?
Alan Schwartz.
And how long did you stay there?
40 minutes, maybe, the first time.
Then where'd you go?
Back to my house.
Were the police gone?
Yes.
And was Nicole there?
Yes.
Had she gone to the police station?
I didn't know at that time.
Do you know whether she went at all that day to the police station?
Now I do, but at the time I didn't.
Okay. And when you got back, was it just you and she there alone?
And AC.
And how did AC get there?
I don't know, I think Arnell called me.
How did Arnell know about this?
Well, she was the one that told her and Michelle were the people that told me to leave because they thought I was going to get into we were in an argument with this Detective Edwards, I believe it was.
Arnell was living there at the time?
She was home at the time, yes.
And Michelle was the housekeeper, right?
Yes,
And she was living there too, right?
yes.
Did either Arnell or Michelle witness any of the physical confrontation that you and Nicole had that evening?
Between Nicole and I?
Yeah.
No.
When the police were on the scene, Arnell and Michelle told you to leave?
Yes.
And the reason that they told you was to avoid a confrontation with the police?
With Detective Edwards.
And was there some reason why they feared that you might have a confrontation with Detective Edwards?
Because he was an asshole.
And describe how he behaved.
He was saying things to me like, I don't know, you you two should be apart. She should leave you. And I said something to him. I thought you were supposed to be diffusing the situation here. And he made another comment. And I said, well, who are you to be saying this to me? And at that point, they were telling me, OJ, you know, Dad, don't do this, because we're standing out. Nicole was trying to get out of the car. And Nicole said something about the babies. And I said, there's 2 women in here to take care of the babies. And he said that to them. And I don't know, he and I had some words. And then Arnell and Michelle was saying, Dad, OJ, just go.
What were these words that you and
I
Edward
don't know. He was saying things to me that I thought a police officer, I thought his job at that particular time was to diffuse the situation, and he was doing just the opposite of that.
What was he doing?
I don't know. He seemed to be trying to bait me.
Bait you into doing what?
I don't know.
Bait you into getting upset, you mean?
Well, he was succeeding in that, yes.
Did he use profanity towards you?
I think at one point, yes.
Did you towards him?
I don't recall. I may have, but I really don't call us. I don't recall doing that, no.
You heard him testify at the criminal trial?
Yes.
Did he describe the incident accurately to the best of your recollection?
Oh, no, he lied on numerous things.
He did?
Yes.
Tell me.
Well, he said that Nicole told him, and I don't believe Nicole would have lied to him, that the reason for the fight was that I had some of my house help in bed.
That you were sleeping with her house help?
Yeah, Michelle or Ruth. I mean, I think the Browns are still pretty close to Ruth.
Who's
and
Ruth?
If they thought that, they certainly wouldn't be still close to her. And Michelle, when you see Michelle, I don't think you would buy that either. And I know Nicole didn't say that to him, and I know that Nicole has never said that to anybody. And since there was a female officer there also.
What was her name?
I have no idea, and somehow they've hit her effectively.
Hid her?
Yes.
She didn't testify?
Yeah, of course not. And now I understand why this guy was on the Christopher Commission at that time.
Who?
Detective Edwards.
And what does that have to do with anything?
That has to do with the way he obviously was treating me. He must have been reported for that with other people, because he wouldn't have been on a list that, in my mind, singled out 40 officers out of 7,000 or 8,000 officers as officers who've had problems.
Is that the first time that you had experienced a problem with LAPD?
Yes. Or any officer for that
Up
matter.
to any officer?
Yeah.
And would that be true through June 12, 1994?
That's correct.
So through June 12, 1994, the only time you had a problem with any law enforcement person was Detective Edwards?
Yes.
On the one occasion on January 1, 89, right?
That's what I believe, yes.
Did you file a report against Mr. Edwards?
No, but
Detective Edwards, excuse me.
when Detective Farrell spoke to me about it the next day, I told him that, you know, he seemed to be as interested in Detective Edwards as me. And I just say, hey, this guy wasn't a good guy, but I didn't want to get into it because I just wanted this thing to go away.
So Detective Farrell, based on your conversations with him, appeared to agree with you that Edwards?
No, he seemed to be interested in asking me questions about how Detective Edwards, you know, what happened with him. And I said, well, we had some words. And he says, what? And I said, you know, I really don't want to get into that. I just want to deal with whatever I got to do to make this thing go away.
Did you not pursue it any further other than talk to Detective Farrell, that is, pursue your complaint against Detective Edwards?
Correct.
Now, who is Ruth?
Ruth was a nanny.
What's Ruth's last name?
I don't know. Lou Brown to tell you that.
Does she still work for the Brown family?
No, she certainly doesn't work for him. She came out to help out, and from what I'm told, didn't get paid anything, but so she's not working for him.
Now, did you and Nicole have any disagreement that evening over your sleeping with house help?
No, and never have we.
Never.
Ever.
do you know, do you have any knowledge or information as to what the basis of that comment by Edwards was?
He's the only guy I've ever heard say anything remotely like that. So you would have to ask, you know, I have my opinions, but, you know.
What's your opinion?
I believe he's a racist, is what I believe he is, and a liar.
You mean racist against African Americans?
Yes.
Did you believe that at the time?
I believe something was wrong with him at the time. I didn't know he would sit on a stand and say that Nicole told him I was was having sex with my house help.
Is that the first time you had heard that?
Yes.
It was on the witness stand?
Yes.
You didn't hear it at the time?
And I never heard it any time in my life until he said it, just blurted it out on the stand. It was amazing.
And you had no contact with Detective Edwards between January 1, 89. Well, actually, you never talked to him or saw him after January 1, 89. Is that right?
As far as I know, no. I wouldn't recognize him anyway.
You haven't filed, oh, withdrawn. When you left Alan Schwartz's house and you came back to Rockingham, you said Cowlings was there?
Yes.
And then you asked Cowlings to take Nicole to
Yeah,
St. John's Hospital?
The coach said, I said, you know, you better, you know, she said she was looking for some aspirin or something. And I said, did your head bother you? And she says, yeah, I'm just getting a headache. And she didn't want to talk. And I said, well, you should have that checked. And AC was there, and Nicole didn't want to talk to me, so I got some clothes and left.
Where did you go?
Back to Alan Schwartz's.
And how long did you stay with Mr. Schwartz?
A day.
And you came back to Rockingham then?
Yes, but I was upset also. I was pretty upset about the whole thing.
He didn't ask you if you're upset. He asked you
Okay.
when you come back.
Yes. Well, I came back to get some clothes.
Well, you came back that day to get clothes and went back to Schwartz's and stayed there one night, right?
Yeah.
Then you came back to Rockingham, and did you go someplace else?
Yeah, I stayed a few nights at a friend of mine's house named Mike Ornstein.
So the first night was at Schwartz's house
Yeah.
and then Ornstein for 2 nights.
Yeah.
And then back to Rockingham?
Well, I was at Rockingham most of the time during that period of time, but I just felt I needed some distance
Why were you upset?
because I thought it was I thought we had had a great night. We had had what I felt a great period of time together, and to me, it was for the argument to start the way it did was wrong, and I wasn't happy with that.
You blamed Nicole for that, the way the argument started?
For the way it started, yes, not for my actions, but the way it started. My actions, I was totally responsible for.
When you, during the 3 days that you were staying out at your friend's homes, did you talk to Nicole?
Yeah.
You resolved this pretty quickly?
Yeah, but you know, how do you resolve when a relationship got physical like that? It's hard to. I mean, it bothered us both.
The first time in your words the relationship got physical?
You like that? Yes. First time it ever got physical.
Only time?
Yes.
You
I mean,
just-
when I say only time, I mean it's the only time that we were physically confronting one another. I mean, Nicole's hit me at times.
She
but
has?
That was nothing. You know, I don't consider that no big deal.
Why not?
Because it was, I didn't call the police.
And calling the police is a big deal.
Yes.
Let me make sure I understand something. You described at length in your prior testimony that the physical confrontation was wrestling. That was your word.
I was
right?
physically trying to remove her from the
Okay.
bedroom.
Now,
Yes.
is that the only time that you and she had ever wrestled in that way?
Yes.
Okay. And you had never had an occasion, other than that incident, to have a physical confrontation with her where you were trying to restrain her or remove her?
At one point, she was at a door, and this is something that Denise spoke about, and she started knocking my pictures and things down, and I grabbed her by her arm and put her out the front door.
Where was that, Mr. Simpson?
The Rocky Hill.
Denise witnessed that?
She witnessed that, yes.
You, Denise, Nicole, anyone else
And Ed
present?
McCabe.
Who's he? Denise's friend?
He was a friend of Denise's and mine.
Are you still friends with him?
Yes,
Have you seen him since you've been out of jail?
yes,
On how many occasions?
twice.
When was the last time?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
When did you come into town? Sunday morning.
Did you and Mr. McCabe talk about this incident
This week? No.
and the prior time that you met him?
Pardon me?
And the prior time that you were with him
No.
since you got out of jail?
No.
Oh, wait a minute, Monday. Correct myself. Monday.
You're not under oath, don't worry about it,
Well,
Mr. Leonard.
but since he's...
But if you want to be, we can take care of that.
It felt like it's...
Put you on the list.
Yeah. Okay, I know Mr. Baker likes putting lawyers under oath. Anyway, what day was this?
What do you
What
mean?
day was what?
Knocking pictures down in front of Denise, Ed McCabe.
I was in the early 80s.
What pictures was she knocking down?
Whatever pictures that were around at
On the
time.
stairway?
Stairway, I had a table in my entry, armoire, that had a lot of pictures on it. And she just swiped them all off.
Did they get damaged?
I don't know. Maybe the frames, maybe the glass.
And how far was she from the front door?
A couple of feet.
A couple feet?
Yeah.
And was the door open or closed?
Open.
And you just picked her up
I didn't pick her up. I took her by her arms and just moved her out the front door.
while she were yelling at one another?
I wasn't yelling. She may have been saying something, but I don't recall.
What was the disagreement about?
I really don't know.
Don't have any recollection why Nicole was upset?
No,
Why she was knocking the pictures down?
no.
Is this the only incident that you can recall when when Nicole was throwing pictures down or knocking them down or tossing them or damaging pictures and photos?
I know that I've seen pictures broken, but I can't recall seeing her break them. But it was I was in one room, she was in another room. The only other occasion is I was walking down the street one day, and she drove up and started throwing pictures at me.